Hello there, Year 2s. Hope you've had a fantastic weekend and are ready for a brand new week of our maths learning. So today we are going to carry on with our lesson on pictographs, and I hope that you have got with you your journal and your lovely learning partner. Let's begin. For our InFocus task, we have got a pictogram here. Okay, so the pictogram shows the number of each type of animal that Charles sees in the zoo. It's similar to the one we saw last week. Okay, now the question is, how can Charles show the pictogram on a tally chart and a table? Please could you have a go at this in your journals with your learning partner? How could you show this representation of this pictogram or pictograph in a tally chart and a table? Okay, so there's two separate things. How could you make a table and how could you make a tally chart out of it? So once you have a go, we'll come back together. Okay? Excellent. Now that you've had a go at making a tally chart using this pictogram and also a table, let's have a look. So here we are. This was our original pictogram, and here Charles has made his tally chart. Okay, and there over here is a table. Now, what do you notice about each of these forms of data representation? What do you notice about them? Can you see I have circled some clues for you to help you understand? I have also written it here on the board. You are right. They all show the same information or data using different ways of representation. Okay, so for example, we already know that in a pictogram we use pictures or symbols, okay, which form our key. Remember that key sentence? So we use a symbol to represent our data or information. And if you count up, if you think about tiger, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 tigers. And then if we move on to our table and you look at the tigers row, it says the tigers have 10 in their group. So they've got 10 animals. So we've got 10 spots here, or 10 dots, and the number 10 in the table. And moving on to our tally chart, under the group for tiger, we must remember from last week that when you look at a tally that looks like this, it's a group of 5. And I know that 5 and 5 make 10. So there we go. So there's this form of representation which tells us there's 10 there, there's 10 in the table, and there's 10 in the pictogram as well. Now, I have a question for you, and I'm going to reveal it just now. Which is the representation you prefer most? Could you tell your learning partner why you prefer that one? So would you like the pictogram the most, or would you prefer the table, or would you prefer the tally chart? Which representation of data would you prefer the most and why? Okay, have a little discussion about that and we'll come back together. Okay, now that we've come back together, I actually think all of them are fantastic representations of data, but I prefer a pictogram because, like we said in one of our sessions last week, a pictogram uses symbols and a key specifically to help us understand and retrieve information. And that way it uses the same symbol to help us make our counting and recording more accurate. Okay, so that's my reasoning. How did you explain yours? Now, remember in our first week of learning, which was just last week, we looked at this really key sentence. And in last week's learning, each key represented one, each dot represented one animal or one fruit. Okay, today we are going to use the dot or the spot to stand for two animals. Okay, so that means you've got to think carefully about how you're counting up. So we've got the same amount of groups. Okay, we've got the tiger, giraffe, elephant and monkey. So the animals that Charles spotted in the zoo. Okay, so here it shows that there are 10 tigers. But this time the circle represents 2, or the spot represents 2 instead of only 1. So we know from our multiplication facts that 5 groups of 2 equals 10. So there are 5 groups with 2 tigers in each group. So that means there are 10 tigers altogether. Okay, so just to double check, we could count up in our twos, which we practice almost every day when we line up for lunch. So let's do that together now. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. There we go. When you count up using the key where each circle or spot stands for 2, you count up in your twos, or you multiply, use your multiplication for 2 times table, and then count up in your twos to figure out that there are 10 tigers altogether. Okay, let's move on. Today you have got a worksheet which uses this key for where each symbol stands for 2 items or 2 objects, whatever your pictograph represents. Okay, what I would like you to do is have a look through again at each sheet, and if you're finding it tricky to read any sentences or words, remember to ask your learning partner at home to help you. Okay, so this is pictogram number 1. This is number 2. Again, you will notice that each symbol represents 2 this time. Okay, so you're looking at the 2 times table, you're counting up in twos. Okay, this is pictogram 3. And finally, this is pictogram number 4. Okay, good luck, and I'm sure you will find this absolutely fantastic. You are going to be amazing learners. Get in touch with us with any questions, or send us your work to this email address, and we look forward to seeing all your lovely work. Take care then. Bye bye.